In a dramatic turn of events, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy left the White House prematurely after a tense meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump on February 28, 2025. What was expected to be a pivotal discussion about U.S.-Ukrainian relations and cooperation on peace efforts instead ended in acrimony, raising questions about the future of diplomatic ties between Kyiv and Washington. The meeting, which was intended to solidify a minerals deal allowing the U.S. access to Ukraine's vast resources, quickly escalated into a public clash. Reports indicate that the exchange became so heated that Zelenskyy felt compelled to exit the Oval Office earlier than planned. Despite the discord, Zelenskyy expressed a cautious optimism afterwards, stating, "I believe our relations can be salvaged," highlighting his determination to navigate the aftermath of this unusual confrontation. The fallout from this meeting reverberated beyond the U.S. borders, as European leaders rallied in support of Zelenskyy, emphasizing the need for unity against Russian aggression. The European Union reiterated its commitment to Ukraine, with key figures voicing strong backing for Zelenskyy in light of his challenging position. Meanwhile, senior diplomats from both Russia and the United States convened in Istanbul, seeking to thaw relations that have been described as below zero amidst ongoing tensions related to the war. Intelligence reports from South Korea indicated a concerning development on the military front, revealing that North Korea had redeployed troops to the Russian front lines near Ukraine. This move underscores the complex geopolitical landscape, where alliances and military strategies are continuously shifting. Back in Ukraine, the parliament reaffirmed Zelenskyy's legitimacy as the leader of the nation through a symbolic resolution. This decision came in response to growing uncertainties about his standing, particularly in light of the recent tensions with the US and Russia, both of which have questioned his leadership. In the broader context, the US has found itself at odds with its European allies over the ongoing conflict. The United States recently diverged from its partners at the United Nations by rejecting language that would directly blame Russia for the invasion, indicating a potential shift in strategy that could complicate future diplomatic efforts. French President Emmanuel Macron has suggested that a truce between Ukraine and Russia could be on the horizon, while cautioning that any peace agreement should not equate to Ukraine's capitulation. This sentiment reflects a delicate balance as negotiations continue, with the international community closely monitoring the situation. As Zelenskyy navigates the fallout from his White House encounter, the implications for Ukraine's sovereignty and the ongoing war with Russia remain profound. Analysts are questioning whether US-Russia talks might lead to a resolution that overlooks Ukraine's interests, a scenario that could have far-reaching consequences for the region. Looking forward, it remains to be seen how Zelenskyy will leverage support from European leaders and navigate US relations following the Oval Office debacle. With military developments and diplomatic talks ongoing, the situation is fluid, and the coming weeks will be critical in determining the path forward for Ukraine in its fight against Russian aggression. In a stark illustration of the ongoing toll of the Russo-Ukrainian war, recent frontline reports have revealed a harrowing scene: Russian soldiers on crutches attempting to cross the Oskil River, only to be met with strikes from Ukrainian drones. This poignant image encapsulates the brutal reality faced by both sides as the conflict, now in its third year, continues to unfold with devastating consequences. On the front line, the Ukrainian military has maintained a strategic advantage, employing advanced drone technology to target Russian forces. Reports indicate that the situation is particularly dire for the Russian troops, who are suffering from high casualty rates. According to a leaked database, more than 600,000 Russian soldiers have been wounded throughout the course of the invasion, with many requiring extensive medical care in military hospitals across Russia. This staggering figure not only highlights the human cost of the conflict but also raises questions about the Kremlin's capacity to sustain its military operations. As the war progresses, geopolitical dynamics are shifting. The recent meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and U.S. President Donald Trump ended in tension, with Zelenskyy leaving the White House prematurely after a heated exchange. This encounter underscores the complexities of international support for Ukraine as Zelenskyy expressed optimism that relations could be salvaged despite the acrimonious atmosphere. "I believe we can still find common ground," he stated, reflecting a determination to navigate the political landscape despite setbacks. The implications of this meeting extend beyond US-Ukraine relations. European leaders have rallied behind Zelenskyy, reaffirming their support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity amidst escalating tensions with Russia. Meanwhile, diplomatic talks between senior officials from the US and Russia are ongoing, aimed at addressing various disputes, yet the prospects for meaningful resolution remain uncertain. In the broader context, the war's impact on Russian society is profound. Observers note that the invasion has transformed Russia's geopolitical stance, alienating it from much of the international community. As casualties mount, domestic support for the war is waning, prompting speculation about potential shifts in public sentiment and government policy. Furthermore, the tension surrounding the war raises critical questions about the future of Ukraine and its allies. With the ongoing military engagements and the looming threat of further escalations, the international community is keenly watching for signs of a potential peace agreement, although differing interests among involved parties complicate negotiations. As both Ukraine and Russia brace for the next phase of conflict, the situation remains fluid. The humanitarian crisis continues to deepen and the stakes grow higher with each passing day. Analysts suggest that the coming months will be pivotal, potentially shaping the trajectory of the war and the political landscape in Eastern Europe for years to come. With the resilience of the Ukrainian forces and the mounting challenges faced by Russia, the outcome of this protracted conflict remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the human cost is immeasurable and the path to peace will require significant diplomatic effort and cooperation. In a dramatic turn of events, the relationship between the United States and Ukraine has taken a precarious dip following an explosive meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. This encounter, which unfolded in the Oval Office, has not only raised eyebrows but has also stirred concerns about the future of U.S. support for Ukraine amid its ongoing war with Russia. As the world watches closely, analysts are debating the implications of this fallout and its potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape. During the contentious meeting on February 28, Trump openly berated Zelenskyy, accusing him of being disrespectful and gambling with millions of lives, a remark that underscores the growing tensions between the two leaders. Trump's explosive rhetoric escalated to the point where he abruptly called off the signing of a significant minerals deal that was expected to enhance U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals crucial for various technological applications. The deal was perceived as vital for securing future U.S. support, especially given the more than $180 billion in aid already sent to Kyiv since the onset of the war. Zelenskyy's primary objective was to secure assurances from Trump against a possible pivot towards Russia, which he viewed as a betrayal. However, instead of receiving the expected support, he found himself in a verbally combative environment. Trump, alongside Vice President J.D. Vance, challenged Zelenskyy's approach, suggesting that his skepticism towards Russia could hinder peace efforts. "You're gambling with the lives of millions of people," Trump asserted, emphasizing his frustration with what he perceived as Ukraine's intransigence. The repercussions of this meeting extend beyond diplomatic decorum. They could significantly alter the dynamics of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Analysts point out that the public spat may embolden Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has been keenly observing the deteriorating U.S.-Ukraine relations. As noted by Konstantin Renchikov, a Moscow newspaper editor with Kremlin ties, the fallout from this meeting could lead Russia to prolong its military efforts in Ukraine, potentially escalating the conflict further. "Russia will be willing to keep fighting for longer and more bitterly," Renchikov stated, highlighting the dangerous ramifications of the U.S. alliance with Ukraine fracturing. The Kremlin has already utilized the discord to its advantage. Russian officials, including former President Dmitry Medvedev, have publicly celebrated the confrontation, framing it as a moment of weakness for Ukraine. Medvedev remarked that Zelenskyy received a slapdown in the Oval Office, a sentiment echoed by other Russian commentators who expressed joy at the apparent disarray within U.S. policy toward Ukraine. This public breakdown in relations poses a significant threat to Ukraine's defensive capabilities. Should the U.S. decrease its military assistance, Ukraine may find itself increasingly vulnerable to Russian advances. The nature of the conflict has been such that American support has been a lifeline for Ukraine, enabling it to sustain its defenses against a much larger military force. The risk is that if American support wanes, Putin could be emboldened to extend his territorial ambitions in Ukraine, potentially aiming for key regions like Odessa and Mykolaiv. Furthermore, the implications of this diplomatic rift could extend beyond Ukraine, potentially reshaping NATO's cohesion. European leaders have already expressed concerns about the growing divide between the US and its European allies, who have largely remained steadfast in their support for Ukraine. In stark contrast to the US position, European leaders have rallied behind Zelenskyy, emphasizing the need for unity in the face of Russian aggression. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen articulated this support, stating that Zelenskyy's dignity honors the bravery of the Ukrainian people. The timing of this diplomatic debacle is critical, as discussions for a potential ceasefire loom. The failure to establish a strong and united front could undermine efforts to broker a lasting peace in the region. Analysts warn against rushing into agreements without addressing the core issues at play. The lessons of past negotiations, particularly the Minsk agreements, serve as a cautionary tale. Rushed deals without comprehensive enforcement mechanisms have historically resulted in further conflict. In conclusion, the fallout from the Trump-Zelenskyy meeting signals a tumultuous period ahead for U.S.-Ukraine relations. The potential for a shift in American support could have dire consequences for Ukraine's ongoing struggle against Russian aggression, as the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve. All eyes will be on how both nations navigate these choppy waters and whether they can restore a sense of partnership moving forward. The next steps taken by leaders on both sides will be critical in determining not just the fate of Ukraine but also the stability of the broader region in the months and years to come. In a dramatic turn of events, European leaders have rallied around Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy following a contentious meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump that exposed deep rifts in U.S.-Ukraine relations. The confrontation, which unfolded in the Oval Office on February 28, 2025, was marked by heated exchanges between Zelenskyy, Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance, leaving U.S. military support for Ukraine hanging in the balance and prompting swift condemnation from European leaders. The meeting began cordially, with Trump and Zelenskyy exchanging pleasantries. However, tensions escalated when Zelenskyy raised concerns about the reliability of Russian commitments to peace. Vance admonished him for airing grievances in public, leading to a chaotic exchange where Trump warned, "You're gambling with World War III," and accused Zelenskyy of disrespecting the United States. The confrontation culminated in the cancellation of a planned minerals agreement and a brief exit for Zelenskyy from the Oval Office. Zelenskyy's response was measured amidst the chaos, emphasizing that Ukraine seeks a lasting peace founded on security guarantees. He asserted, "We want just and lasting peace," reflecting the gravity of the situation as Ukraine continues to grapple with the ongoing Russian invasion. Following the fallout, he expressed gratitude to the American people and leadership via social media, reinforcing his commitment to maintain strong ties with the U.S. In the wake of the Oval Office altercation, European leaders swiftly condemned Trump's approach. French President Emmanuel Macron characterized the encounter as a troubling signal of a U.S. pivot towards Russia, reiterating the need for Europe to remain united in its support for Ukraine. Macron stated, "We are right to continue to help Ukraine and sanction Russia." British Prime Minister Keir Starmer echoed this sentiment, affirming the unwavering backing of the United Kingdom for Ukraine's sovereignty. The fallout from the meeting prompted a series of urgent discussions among European leaders, with a summit scheduled in London to strategize on next steps. Starmer highlighted the importance of solidarity among allies, declaring, "You have full backing across the United Kingdom," as crowds gathered outside Downing Street to show support for Zelenskyy. The Kremlin's response to the unfolding drama was predictably critical, with Russian officials using the opportunity to deride Zelenskyy and suggest that U.S. support for Ukraine was waning. Dmitry Medvedev, a high-ranking Russian official, dismissed Zelenskyy as an ungrateful pig, while the Russian Foreign Ministry seized upon Trump's comments to frame Zelenskyy as a provocateur threatening global stability. As Zelenskyy navigated this tumultuous political landscape, his administration was quick to seek reassurance from U.S. officials about the future of military aid, which has been crucial for Ukraine's defense. However, sources indicated that the administration was reconsidering its commitment to providing continued support in light of the Oval Office confrontation. With the European summit drawing near, the focus will likely shift to how the West can effectively counter Russian aggression while maintaining cohesive support for Ukraine. The dynamics of U.S.-Russia relations under Trump, who has expressed a desire to negotiate peace with Putin, will undoubtedly influence the discussions. As Zelenskyy prepares for further talks with European leaders, the international community watches closely, aware that the stakes are higher than ever. The future of Ukraine's sovereignty and security remains precarious, and the fallout from the Oval Office meeting serves as a stark reminder of the challenges that lie ahead. The need for a unified front among Western allies has never been more critical as they confront the ongoing crisis and seek pathways to lasting peace.